Good day to you. This is Mr. Mlenga, your teacher of geography. So today I want to introduce you to a very interesting topic, and that is manufacturing and food processing industries. So this is a very important topic, and by the end of the topic, I want us to achieve some of the objectives, and these are the objectives. Number one, I want us to define an industry, identify types of industries, and discuss factors influencing the location of industries. So these are very important, objectives that I want us to achieve by the end of the lesson. Now, manufacturing and food processing industries. What are they? Now, I want you to understand the meaning of manufacturing itself. Manufacturing is the process of transforming raw materials into finished goods by deploying various sequential processes, labor, and machinery. So you're getting a raw material from its natural, state, and process it or transform it into a finished good that is usable. That is manufacturing. Now, an industry is any activity that enables man to earn a living. An industry is an economic activity. Now, most of the times, people confuse an industry with a place or a factory where, where production of goods and other services is done. So an industry is simply an economic activity. Now, when you talk of a factory, it is a building or group of buildings where goods are manufactured or assembled, chiefly by machinery. So you must be able to understand to say a factory is very different from an industry. An industry is an activity. Now, as you're able to see here, this is a car manufacturing, factory where vehicles are being manufactured. Here you have an industry where there is processing. You also have a processing industry here. As you're able to see, these are drinks which have been, processed. So this is how, these manufacturing industries look like. Now, let me take you straight into, other forms of industries. As you're able to see in this picture, what type of industry do you think this would be? So I'll leave you to answer that question. What type of industry do you think this could be? Now, we have different types of industries. We have what we call primary industries, secondary industries, and service or tertiary industries. So these are the three main categories of industries: primary industries, secondary industries, service or tertiary industries. Now, what are primary industries? Primary industries, these involve extraction and production of raw materials from the environment. Now, this sector of a nation's economy includes agriculture, forestry, fishing, mining, quarrying, and extraction of minerals. So basically, when you talk of primary industries, these are industries which are involved or that deal with extraction of raw materials from the environment. As you're able to see here, this is a primary industry dealing with extraction of timber from the environment. So this is lumbering, and here this is agriculture. We have agriculture here. So these are primary industries. So in summary, when you're talking about the primary industry, what you have to say is the primary industry is when natural resources are extracted directly from the earth or the sea or water bodies in general. So examples of primary industries include coal mining, oil drilling, farming, fishing, forestry, among others. So as you're able to see, this is a mining activity, and this is a man fishing. Now let me take you to another form of industry, which is secondary industry. Now, what are secondary industries? Secondary industries are industries that use machinery to change raw materials into new products by adding value to the items made. So here is the difference. Primary industries do with extraction of raw materials from the environment. But when it comes to secondary industries, they deal with processing raw materials into new products by adding value to them. So that's a big difference. So secondary industries are divided into the following industries. So we have two categories of secondary industries. They are those we call processing industries. Now, these processing industries prepare primary produce before they can be used. For example, maize can be turned into mealie meal. We also have cotton, beginning. We also have manufacturing industries. Now, these change raw materials into new products. They change raw materials into new products. Example, are making sugarcane into sugar. So as you're able to see, this is a phone manufacturing industry where phones are being made or manufactured, as you're able to see. Then we also have the processing of drinks. The drinks are being made here from fruits like pineapples and oranges. So from the fruits, pineapples and oranges, they're able to make, or process juice for these drinks. So these are the industries which you must be able to understand when it comes to secondary industries. Now, let me take you straight into tertiary or service industries. Now, service or tertiary industries include industries that provide services. Now, when we talk of provision of services, we are talking about producing non-tangible goods. Intangibles. So you're producing intangibles to generate wealth. Now, these are things which you cannot touch. You can't touch them. You can't feel them. They are intangible. Can you think of such? Can you think of such intangible goods? Now, this sector generally includes both private and government enterprise. Now, I want you to understand or to have a wealth of examples of these, service or tertiary industries. So, services provided by the tertiary service industries include education, banks, health, security, transport, banking, finance, insurance, investment, real estate services, wholesale, retail, resale trade, professional consulting, legal, and personal services, tourism, hotels, restaurants, and entertainment, repair and maintenance services, social welfare, administrative, police and security services, among others. Now, these are not services or goods which you can touch and feel. No, these are intangible. So tertiary industry deals with these intangible services to generate wealth. So when these services are provided to the people pay for them. You have to pay for hotel services. You have to pay for tourism services. So as you're able to see, this is the transport service. And you pay for transport. So these are the providers of these services. So these are professionals who work in the tertiary or service industry. So this is a doctor here. We have an engineer there. Okay. We have a teacher there. So we have different professions. Okay, providing the service or tertiary, services in the tertiary industry. So you must be able to understand that. Now, at a later stage, you learn even other industries, but these are the three basic industries that we have: the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary industries. Now, what are the factors influencing the location of industries? Now, you cannot locate an industry anywhere. There must be a driving force to take you to that specific area you want to locate your industry. So what are those factors that you must put into consideration before deciding where to take your industry? So there are a number of factors that affect the location of an industry. And these factors may include transport, raw materials, labor, power, market, and government policies, among others. So cheap transport. An industry needs to be located near cheap transport. You cannot locate an industry in a place where there are no roads or where there is no rail line. How are you going to transport the raw materials to the factory, and how are you going to transport finished goods to the market? So you need good roads. You need cheap transport. Raw materials. Now, raw materials are processed close to where they are found in order to cut on transport. So it's better to locate an industry near raw materials so that you don't waste so much transporting raw materials to the factory. So if you're processing sugar, for example, locate an industry where there is a sugar plantation so that you can cut on transport. Abundant labor. Now, this includes both skilled and unskilled labor force. You must locate an industry where there is enough labor, where there are people who can be able to work. You cannot locate an industry in an area where you don't have enough people to work. So abundant labor is very important. Power. Now, electricity is very important in order to run the machines. So power is very, very important. That's why some industries, most of the industries are located in places where there is electricity or power generation. Market. Now, you must be able to understand to say what you're producing in the industry is not meant for the industry, but it is meant for the people. So you need to have buyers, you need to have the market. So industries need to sell their products the products that they produce. So nearness to market helps reducing transport costs. Government policies. This is another very important factor. Now, the government policies have the ability or capacity to attract industries or discourage industry setup. Now, government may encourage industrial development in some areas and restrict in other areas. For example, multi-facility economic zones. If you've ever heard of the multi-facility economic zones, these are areas specifically created to generate wealth by provision of a variety of services. Now, these are special industrial zones, which are one of the government strategies aimed at achieving economic development by attracting domestic and foreign investment. For example, we have the Lusaka South multi-facility economic zone. LSM phase, where we have different industries which have been set up, and they are attracted there simply because if you set up an industry at the Lusaka South Mount Facility Economic Zone, you are going to have tax-free for a couple of years. For a number of years, you're not going to be paying tax. You're just going to be operating at zero tax. Why does the government do that? In order to attract investment. So if you want to set up an industry there for a couple of years, you're not going to pay tax. But you have to bear in mind to say you need to have a minimum amount of money that you must start with, minimum investment threshold, which is quite high. Now, let me take you straight into examination questions. So this paper is an extract from 2019 paper 1. So these questions, question 19 says, which of the following industrial activities is an example of primary industry? So this is basically what we look at. So brewing cannot be primary industry. This is secondary industry. Canning, this is secondary industry because here you're dealing with processing. Fishing, this is definitely a primary industry because you're directly getting fish from the environment. You're directly getting fish from the sea, or I mean from rivers and other water bodies. B, milling. Milling is a secondary industry. So the best possible answer here is fishing. So these questions come a lot in the exam. Question 20 says, which one of the following factors does not affect the location of an industry? So this is basically what we're just from looking at. Capital, labor, power supply, raw materials. Now, raw materials are a factor. Power supply is a factor. Labor is another factor, but capital is not a factor. You don't need to have capital for you to choose where to locate your industry. As long as you have the money, you can locate your industry where you want. So the key factors which determine where you locate your industry are labor, power supply, and raw materials. So the best possible answer here is A, which is capital. Let's get to some more questions. What type of industry is cotton ginning? Now, cotton ginning, earlier gave this example. So is it manufacturing? No. Is it primary? No. Is it processing? Yes. So the best possible answer here is processing because you're getting cotton and having it ready to be processed into other products like clothes, and it can be tertiary. So these questions come a lot in the exam. So this is just evident enough that what we're looking at is very key in examinations. So thank you so much for your time. See you in our next meeting.